Hey, welcome to my basement, everybody. I've got a nice special one for you. There's a game out there called Go Mecha Ball, which immediately caught my attention, and you're going to find out why. But I reached out to the creator, one of the people that brought us Go Mecha Ball, and his name is Jakob Wahlberg, and he joins us right now. Jakob is based near Gothenburg, Sweden. So thank you
Correct.
for joining us. It's much later in the day for you out there than it is for me. I hope I'm not keeping you up, but welcome to Vic's Basement.
Thank you, Vic. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, yeah, your game is super impressive. And I thought about, kind of explaining it for people. And then I thought, you know what? I don't want to do that this time. I want to hear what you think this game is and what you were, reaching for with this game. Because I see all kinds of
Yeah.
influences in it, and it taps into some primal things for me as a video game fan. But what were you wanting to achieve with Go Mecha Ball, and how would you describe it?
Yeah, there's a period in games where you're approaching like the pitch phase, where you
Yeah,
make something called the vertical slice,
right.
which is kind of like the qualitative aspects of a game, but you don't have the content to kind of fill the horizontal axis, so to speak. And my initial idea was, okay, how do we really polish up the vertical, like focus on the vertical aspect of the game, like the making sure that art, sound, and gameplay is like a cohesive, holistic thing that just feels great and everything just meshes together real nicely. And I guess one of the things that prompted me to make like a top-down shooter is that I'm a big fan of the roguelike genre. It's kind
Yep.
of like the only type of game I have time to play these days, it feels like. But also like the aspect of mastery, which is often associated with like doing something, failing, adjusting your approach to the current problem at hand and finding success. I'm also a
Yeah.
really big fan of like Bennett Foddy's game. Like, have you played the Getting Over It?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's a one of those, maybe one of the most frustrating games out there, but it's essentially only about mastering, and I really enjoy that. I think it's like a personal trait or something, but yeah. And I
I
wanted
think
to
that's
create,
maybe you're a programmer, right? I mean, your background
no,
is in program.
no, I actually started as a technical illustrator. So I have a
Okay.
2D artist background. It's just when I turned 30, I think I started the program. So
Okay.
I've been through most disciplines in games actually. Yeah, I started as a artist and went over to animation and then 3D and technical art and then design. And then when I started the program, I had a period where I was a gameplay engineer, and now I'm just a dude who makes games.
That's amazing, and that's why I wanted to
Yeah.
talk with you. All right, we'll carry on to describe what this game is because it's the first game from your studio. It's I forgot it's whale. I forgot tall
Yeah,
whale.
it's a like a word play on my surname,
Okay.
Wahlberg.
Okay.
Whale Peak in
Whale Peak.
Sweden.
Got
Yeah.
you.
So Whale Peak Games, it's only me. The rest of them are like, I would describe us as a freelancers from all over the world, kind of co-joining together. We've seen each other's work on Twitter, etc., and we kind of reach out to each other and wanted to
That's
work
amazing.
together. Yeah, I really like that aspect. So, and we've had great fun. It's been quite challenging, of course, as well. But as you said, it's the first game from my studio. Essentially, when I was on parental leave, I started to prototyping because I got a bit of creative frustration
Yeah. Yeah.
during late nights, and it must have been like 2 a.m. or something. And I was kind of like, hey, wait a minute. What if we took the role from a top-down shooter and made it into an actual role?
Mm.
And then I started like, okay, what's associated with rolling ball? And yeah, that's kinetic energy, and you can kind of collide. Okay, so we can make the roll into an offensive ability as well. I've been kind of looking at the classical roll or dodge, and it's just such a bespoke ability to just avoid danger in a sense that it can't really have more utility than to avoid something. And it
Yep.
makes sense. Okay, so what it essentially is that you travel fast in one direction. Why hasn't anyone kind of asked themselves what would happen if there was an enemy that you collided with while you dashed? So that was kind of my approach, and I started, and I also am a big fan of procedural animation, and every time I think of games, I kind of visualize them on a timeline, and I see very like visceral images in my head, and I saw this little ball, and actually kind of looks exactly how I envisioned it in the beginning.
Oh, that's
Um,
amazing.
yeah. So yeah, colliding, switching to mech form. Yeah, it was very when that clicked, it was like a clear as a day picture in my head, and I just started to prototype it.
That's
It
so
was
rad.
supposed to have more like pinball elements in the beginning, but yeah, some things meshed with the game, some other stuff didn't really mesh with the game, but I really wanted to focus on the things that makes a game fun. I
Yeah, yeah.
think that is kind of, yeah, we tend to, I mean, Nintendo obviously has it nailed, but we tend to forget about the most important aspect to me personally is
Right.
to sit and have a great time, no matter how long you sit there for.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't
Did you
like it. Yep. Sorry.
did you look at classic games? Did you look at Robotron? Did you look at Marble Madness? Because those were the first two arcade games that jumped out at me as I was playing the experience.
No, to be honest with you, the first time I heard about Marble Madness is when I started to post my videos on Twitter.
That's amazing.
And when I looked at Madness, I saw the resemblance right away.
Yeah.
So I can understand why people go there when they see the game. But no, I haven't really played it, or it wasn't in my mind, or and the same for Robotron. I'm not sure what that game is even today.
Oh, you're
I
not.
don't think I
Okay.
know. No,
Okay. Well, I just
yeah.
got a text from the creator of Robotron, and he said he can join us. And I
Okay,
didn't,
okay,
I didn't.
I know exactly which game it is.
Well, I'm gonna just send him the I'm gonna send him the link right now if that's cool with you. Hold on.
Yeah,
How do I
go
get this?
ahead.
How do I? Oh, it's right here. Okay, I'm gonna copy the invite
Uh,
link and let's see. Um, let's see if he has it. Okay, cool. I just sent him the link, so we'll see if Eugene Jarvis joins us. And I'll tell you, as somebody that started to click with this right away, that's what I noticed. And I've been playing games longer than you've been making them for sure. And I think one
yeah,
of the things that I recognize about roguelikes, and I've been thinking about this quite a bit, is that they really are tapping into classic arcade experiences, which were
yeah.
all about seeing how long you could last with a quarter. And you'd pop a quarter in, and the game is to stay alive in a classic arcade game. I don't know if you have any experience with arcades. They probably
Oh yeah,
died
yeah.
before. Oh yeah, okay. And so when I play roguelikes, I certainly dip back into that experience. What really happened with home console experiences is that they were about just extending the thing and letting you experience and explore. And that there's a beautiful, line of amazing experiences that way. But I think there is something so primal about just focusing on mechanics and mastery, just like you
Yeah.
said. Is that the feedback that you're getting on Go Mecha Ball?
I think it's divided into two parts. I think we ended up in like a gray area between roguelike and arcade games
Yep.
that I think many people expected more roguelike features from it, and the arcade people wanted more arcade features. And I understand both camps, definitely. And some of the people that are just in it for the fun, like they don't really judge a game experience by category. I feel like there are many that lean on categories a bit too much when looking at the game. I mean, I
Right.
wouldn't say too much, but they do. And that might give a I'm trying to avoid phrasing that would sound like me defending my game here because I really don't want to be doing that.
Well,
But
it's
essentially,
human nature to
yeah,
categorize everything, and I totally
yeah,
hear you.
yeah,
It's like you want to put something out in the world that's fresh and different, and it is. It's like in 2024, it's 100% fresh and different. There's nothing like Go Mecha Ball out there right now,
yeah,
but we're such vessels of uniformity and categorization, and especially as someone that comments on the industry.
yeah,
uh you're trying to explain things to people, and the only thing
yeah,
that you can to explain is go back into your experience and try to tidy it all up, and that doesn't always, it never does justice to the creative
yeah,
inspiration and the art form that you're playing with there.
yeah. And as you said, I think it's the in the human nature to desperately try to categorize new things. And
Yep.
when we don't succeed with that, we kind of feel a bit uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Uh, But yeah, my hope is that people, and I would say the majority have just had a very pleasant experience with the game.
Yep.
But we have these two camps where it's not enough roguelike and it's not enough arcade game, which I understand. But yeah, you can't please everyone. But at least it's very close to the initial vision that I had, and the team is very happy with the product. So um, yeah, I can't be anything than like happy with it. I'm really glad that
You
it's
should
out
be very,
there.
very happy with it. And I'll tell you how I found out about it. And I think this will, you know, this will make you very happy, I think. I have lots of friends in the game development community, and I've got
Mm,
a good friend named Matt Thomas, who I've worked with over the years on different projects. And he's at EA, and he was playing, and he said, "You got to play this. You're going to dig it." And he was absolutely right. So shout out to Matt Thomas for getting me on this road. He knows the kinds of games that I am into. I love twitchy games. My roots are back in the arcade, and of course I
yeah,
got into the NES and the Super Nintendo and all of that stuff. And it was always a treat to be able to play arcade games at home that did justice
yeah.
to the experience that we had back in the day. And one thing that I think has been missing too is, remember Xbox Live Arcade? They used to have
Oh yeah,
they used to have these little like Geometry Wars was an amazing experience that Xbox propped up there and sent out into the world. Did you ever play Geometry Wars?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a good game,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I
it's super cool.
totally understand your angle there. It's similar, and as you said, the arcade experience. One thing that comes to my mind when I think about arcade games, even though it's a skateboard game
There
is
he is.
Tony Hawk. Hello, Eugene.
Tony.
How you guys doing, man?
Oh, dude, this is
Doing
so
good.
incredible. Eugene Jarvis is here, everybody. Midway Games legend and the creator of Robotron and Smash TV and all kinds of fantastic games over the years. He runs Raw Thrills right now, which is a big arcade company. And honestly, I had it in my mind, Eugene, that you
Yeah.
two should meet because I don't know if you've had time to play Go Mecha Ball yet, but Go Mecha Ball would make a perfect arcade game. And this is the man that created it. And
It
you
looks
guys,
Yeah,
this is yeah,
you
this is
mentioned
Jakob Wahlberg.
Robotron, and I didn't know what that game was, but Smash TV has been a big inspiration. And yeah, that's definitely we're definitely inspired a bit by Smash.
yeah, I mean about it's I looked at it on YouTube. I haven't had a chance to play it, but I mean it's freaking amazing. I just love the integration. It's like I think, it's like crossbreeding species, You'd
Yes.
say
Yeah,
like you get an elephant and you know, a polar bear or something, and
yeah,
here you get the the ball game, like Crystal Castles type thing, and then go with the Robotron twin stick type shooting, and but it's unbelievable. It's just the action is incredible. I mean, it's a whole new entity in its own right. With you've created a new class of game. It's.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
I knew
it.
you
It
would
means a
see it
lot.
that way, Eugene. I wanted to get you guys together, man.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there playing. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Eugene needs to play this game. This is so cool.
Yeah, we've definitely seen like a crowd of people that click incredible with the game. Like, I think it might tap into some kind of nostalgia or something kind of forgotten a little bit in some
Yeah.
crowd that I feel like have been forgotten a little bit in games or not prioritized enough. We these days prioritize different things than we used to be. I guess it was. I can imagine it was really hard to make fun games, and that was a challenge enough. And when you kind of succeeded in making something really fun, that was a big win and a good product. But now we have so much possibilities. We kind of, we kind of forgotten the core of games a little bit, I feel like. And I feel like I want to bring, or I enjoy making things that are focused on the core, on as I perceive games, which is having fun, great controls, good flow. Yeah, that's kind of like the essence of games for me, and that's something I would like to continue to focus on future products for sure.
Yeah, I think it. Well, in the early days, I mean, that's all we had. We didn't have graphics. We didn't have so many things. So all you had was your control and your action and your play mechanic, and
Yeah,
you spent 5 minutes, drawing a couple of pixels, and that was graphics. So it is, and I love as we all are so excited by realistic graphics, and we get kind of blinded by that, and we forget. So often we spend 95% of the project just getting everything looking good and animating well, and the background's correct, and then unfortunately the last 5% is the play mechanic and the interaction and the interface and the feel, and sometimes I think the projects are so big that you can't pivot. You have this. It's like you're piloting the Titanic. You have
the iteration speed is non-existent.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to you decide where you're going to go, and then you go there and you hope that there's something interesting there. Maybe there isn't.
What do we do now? It's not good.
Well, what's interesting for both of you guys is you have that perspective of both sides of that. You've worked on larger teams, you've worked on bigger projects, and I think you've also both taken the decision to kind of simplify your path and make your paths a little bit unique, and also looping back to in Eugene's case to the tactile days of play, where you actually physically walked up to an arcade machine and got into it. And honestly, Raw Thrills is keeping arcades alive in 2024, which is amazing. And I think this idea of because Jakob just told me that he's shepherding a team, but he's like the solo guy at his studio, and he's using different people that he's met across the internet to put all the pieces together. And that seems, analogous to the way that you were crafting Robotron and Smash TV, and it's funny, you guys are there's a lot of authorship in the types of work that you're putting out there. I think that's so bloody important.
Yeah. Well, certainly in a smaller project, it's more of a creation, an artistic creation by an individual or a small group of individuals. And when you get, when it becomes like a Hollywood production, it becomes very hard to control it. It's very hard to as you're controlling people, through five other people, and
Yeah.
it becomes very, a lot of administration and so forth. So it is neat to, and I think you find that in the most innovative games are a small team that um, is able to just concentrate on kind of deconstruct everything and go back to basics and then really emphasize the play mechanic and although I mean I must say your graphics are pretty cool.
Thank you. I mean, that's kind of what I like about small scale development is that for me, like when you look at games and the making of games, it's easy to divide it into plenty of disciplines. Like you have the design, you have the art, you have the animation. But for me personally, since I am a generalist, I see game development itself as a art form. It's not created in any given discipline. It's
Right.
created on the bridges of disciplines, and that is kind of solved by communication in the large scale development. And depending on how well you communicate, you will get different good results. But if you can either have a personal contact with the people you're working with, or you can internalize the bridge between disciplines. For example, one of the most important bridges, as I see it, is between programming and animation, because if you can program and if you can animate, you can kind of visualize timelines and go back and forth between events and actions and play them in your head before you start kind of prototyping them. So you often have something done made in your head before you even sit down by the computer and then just kind of, I wouldn't say vomit, but it's getting out there. So yeah, I feel like good games are not made in any given disciplines. It's made on the bridges between disciplines, and
Wow.
that's easier to do in small scale, or if you have really good communicators in your team, that is also one way to go about it. And yeah, so what we also did is, as you mentioned, it's a team that is constructed by several different freelancers, and yeah, I approached them and I said to both Felipe, which is the concept artist, and Jonas Turner, which is a guy, if you haven't interviewed him yet, you should. He is probably the guy that have worked on the most games ever. I think he has over 100 titles under his belt, and he probably
Eugene's in there,
have,
buddy.
yeah, yeah.
He's got a
Tough
couple more
competition, but
Yeah.
yeah, that I know personally. Okay. But either way, he's probably done half of Devolver's titles. He worked on Cult of the Lamb,
Oh,
Nuclear
wow.
Throne, and I told him that this is not my project anymore. This is your project as well, and you get to do whatever you want inside your discipline.
Mm.
Like you have the final say on how it. I know it's my game, but now when you're on my team, I want you to feel uh, fully in charge of the discipline that you master. I might have inputs, but who's to say that my input from my perspective and is better than the person that is a acclaimed art director? And also just to save my own sanity, like I can't be everywhere. It's
Yeah.
and when people feel that you trust them, they often just make a better job, essentially. So
Yeah.
it's kind of that positive thing about it as well. Um, and yeah, you can often get this feeling as well if you have someone that is too nitpicky, too on you, too many iterations, have a lot of feedback all the time on
This
any
sounds like
specific.
personal experience.
Yeah, yeah. But you get worried, like you don't get flow in your work.
Yeah.
You can't go with your intuition. And I feel like intuition is so important to have access to. And if you feel like you can utilize your intuition creating something, it will just become more powerful and more personal. And
Yeah,
I think
that's the key.
those two ingredients are really important.
And we feel it
Um,
as consumers of that art form, by the way, whether it's a movie or a video game or as anything, when it really feels like it's been thought out by a human and then shared with a
yeah,
group, a collective, all going in the same direction, you can really feel that. You feel that a lot in
yeah,
Nintendo games. There's an appreciation for just tuning the play and tuning the fun, and you can feel the years of research to like get that tactility of that experience.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then when you play it, that's what comes out. I
yeah,
just want to ask Eugene what it's like for you as someone that was working in the days where there was no definition of what a video game was. Like you guys were like paving the road as you were working in the road. What it's like to hear a younger developer, approach this from almost like a philosophical kind of concept, like all of the bricklaying that you and colleagues of your era were doing. It's just the language that everybody speaks now, as players and as makers.
Yeah, I mean, things, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes,
Yeah,
and it is. I think Jacob is so right on there, where you obviously you have to have great practitioners in the disciplines,
yeah,
and that's so important. But and the communication the one thing about communication has to be totally honest. You
right.
can't like uh, you know just go, oh, it's great when it's crap. You really have to go, this is crap. I'm sorry, and then you bring it out in the open, and maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. You bring it out, you talk it over. It's almost you have to put your ego aside and really think about the game.
yeah,
And I totally agree with Jacobs. Like sometimes you may have a disagreement with someone, and and you have to sometimes just set people free a little bit, even though your sense is like, okay, this is a bad idea, But every now and then you just have to say, well, let's let them go with it, and see what happens,
yeah,
and because no one is 100% right all the time,
No,
and so you have to like have some freedom out there, and then often every now and then maybe one out of 1,000 they're right and you're wrong, That's,
what out of that?
no,
yeah,
actually, probably much more than that. But I think if you got to let your ego go and let someone else, go with something else to because otherwise you can kind of strangle the project with
yeah,
your own ego and your own vision, the limits of your own vision. You could be missing a really awesome, a whole nother dimension of gameplay by just trying to suppress something to what your original vision was.
yeah.
And
And so many things are in the realm of the subjective as well. So
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
kind of hard to judge whether or not the idea A is better than idea B. It's just, yeah, so I definitely agree with you that you shouldn't involve your ego at all, really. And
So
it's
hard to
hard
do.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah, it's
God. I
hard.
mean, just it's so because you're working so damn hard, and then you just got to you got to take your hand off the wheel a bit, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
When you collaborate.
yeah. But
yeah,
one thing is like you also it's like you're disagreeing about a feature. This feature might take 20 minutes to try out. And you argue like 2 hours over the feature, and the argument is longer than the trial. So it just
yeah.
like just try it, and see what happens.
Yeah, just
Y-
try it. I like that. It's definitely how I approach things. I like
Awesome.
highly iterative and just let the game kind of evolve into what it wants to become a little bit, I feel like.
Jacob, you know how good Smash TV is. I cannot believe that there is not a modern interpretation of it, poking fun at the political sort of zeitgeist that is America right now. It would be amazing.
We
Like
have
it's just,
cameras in Go Mecha Ball. I always want to mention that.
oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a nice homage to Smash TV.
Yeah,
But
we looked at Smash TV. We sure did.
oh, it's a perfect game. But
Yeah.
I don't know, Jacob, if you know that Eugene is like the creator of twin stick shooters. Like Robotron was the first on the scene. He
Well, thank you.
created this whole yeah.
It's my favorite genre.
It is an amazing genre. And so that's my question to Eugene. Like, what's it like for you? Because there aren't many, there are a bunch, but it's not like the most proliferate genre in video games. There aren't many. And so what's it like to have come up with a concept like a mechanical concept in video games that is tapped over and over again and new ones pop up like Go Mecha Ball? What's it like for you to see that and to play those?
Yeah. Oh, it's heartwarming. I mean, when we started it, with Robotron, and people, a lot of people can't do two things at once.
Yeah.
I think game players have now, after all these years, with not only twin stick shooters, but similar controls for FPS games, and and so people have kind of learned. But when I came out, I thought, oh, this is so fantastic. Every game will be like this, and then
it's actually still a huge hurdle. Like if you can make your game one stick, it's very much worth it, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought every game was going to be like it, and then actually nobody did a game until we actually did it ourselves again with Smash TV. It's like
yes,
and it wasn't really until the PlayStation came out with the DualShock controller that then it kind of reached a mainstream audience, and I think and then maybe it's more of a some subset of people that really can do two things at once, and certainly like in the arcade, which is a more casual audience, the people, it's only maybe 10% of the people can really play a dual stick shooter.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's the one that you still play, though, isn't it, Eugene? You still play Like last time I talked with you.
Yeah, no,
it's an amazing game.
I don't know. I thought, I have a lot of Robotron injuries at my age now, but no, I love it. It just it gets the blood flowing and trying to, and I love the arcade cabinet because you can kind of throw it around and kick it and do something.
Take out your frustrations on it.
And it kind of anchors the controls. They're kind of anchored, so you don't have to like hold your own joystick or anything like that. It's just,
that is definitely, you need a joystick to really play that game. Thumbsticks are okay, but you really to play with a joystick is incredible.
I've been actually thinking about why I like top-down games in general so much.
Yeah.
And one day it kind of dawned to me when I was playing with my daughter and sitting on the floor and seeing all these toys from top down. That it's kind of captures the essence of play in a sense. It's a perspective, the play perspective. You look at toys from above.
Yeah, no,
that's amazing.
That's so true, and it also is from an information standpoint. If you're playing an FPS, you see maybe 60 degrees of the environment. When you're in a top-down perspective, you have this much more complete information. You have the ability to see what's behind you and what's coming at you, and you can see all sides. Where FPS game, you're playing Fortnite or something, and you don't see what's behind you, and the guy just comes up behind you and kills you. It's not that fun. And so, but if you're able to see all these threats from all angles or opportunities, I mean, it's just much more complex play. Much more truly two-dimensional, as opposed to really more of a one-dimensional, narrow radius type information of it.
Is that why they're, with all of these modern 3D systems, has that been one of the bigger challenges with like bringing a game like Robotron or Smash TV to audiences? Is this effort to kind of reposition the camera behind the character, or from a first person perspective? Like, I would imagine you've been pitched on first person Smash TV or first person Robotron all the.
Yeah, with that, and that's why it's difficult to make these games work in 3D. And even I remember Mario 64, which I guess some people consider a great game, but for me, I felt much more comfortable with classic Mario games that were in a two-dimensional plane, and I think those are still much more popular than 3D. Again, the incomplete information. And also the sense of play that Jacob's talking about is missing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That it would be a whole other game making Smash TV in a third person type of perspective. It just changes everything. It wouldn't be the same. So yeah, I could see that being a tough challenge to pull off.
Well, you did the dual stick thing a few times with Smash TV and Total Carnage, and I'm sure there was a couple others maybe that you got into prototype stage or something, Eugene. But I'm curious if you have any observations or any things that you learned about dual stick shooters that you may want to pass on. I mean, maybe there's a Go Mecha Ball 2 or some extended elements to the game that may benefit.
I don't know. I think Jakob is he's probably a better source of ideas than I am at this point.
Yeah, currently I'm working on Go Mecha Rest.
Go Mecha Rest. You're in vacation mode.
It's a important part of game development as well.
Yeah, I need to see his game before I can tell anything.
Well, it's really cool because I've got a Chicago-based developer, and there's an aesthetic and there's a quality and there's a style to making games out of Chicago, and I've got a Swedish-based developer, and definitely a different perspective. Also, somebody that's been able to look at the history of games and kind of learn from that as well. What do you, and I want to dig into that for a little bit. So, Jakob, why don't you tell us a little bit about making games in Sweden and growing up in that community there? And like, you're just outside of Gothenburg. Is there a big development scene for games? I know that Image and Form is there. Are there other studios? Is it part of the culture?
Yeah, I started at Image and Form. That was my first job in the industry.
Great
the
company.
Makers behind SteamWorld Dig, the SteamWorld Dig series, etc. I would say it's a fairly big. I honestly don't have much to compare to, but weirdly enough, there's a small town called Skövde that's just like an hour and a half away from Gothenburg, much smaller town that is even bigger than Gothenburg for some reason.
Yeah,
they had
games.
For games. They had a school there, and I guess all of the students kind of spread out in this small city and started big game companies. I believe this might be wrong. Coffee Stain Studios is in Skövde. No, there isn't really that much in Gothenburg relative to, like, it should have more.
Ghost Games used to be there too, right? Are they still there? Yeah.
I don't think so, but I might be wrong. No, I'm not a good source for that.
You've been making a game.
Yeah, I've been in my office for 3 years, so I don't know much about the world.
What was the decision to do that? Like, why did you want to leave Image and Form or maybe another studio that you're working at and go off on your own like that?
Yeah, so when I started at Image and Form, we were small. It was like a nerd family.
Mm.
I like that. And surely but surely the games started to sell and money was ticking in, and uh, we expanded quite a lot. And the image and form today is called Thunderfall, which is much, much bigger than it used to
Right,
be.
right.
And I kind of felt that things weren't as personal. You saw new faces every week or even every day. It felt like in the cafeteria. And I didn't like that colleagues that I used to talk with, I mean, joke around and have a good time with. We were far across the office and we didn't chat. And yeah, it
Mm.
just felt like the fun was gone in making games. It didn't feel, I mean, this is my, of course, my personal perspective on making games.
Yep.
Thunderful is a great company and there are great people still working there uh, that are having fun. So this is just me and my like personal needs in creating a game. I kind of need it to be personal. I need to have someone to tease sitting next to me or in a Discord or uh, having fun. Like it's all about having fun. I
Right.
mean, we focus on minute to minute in games. We should do it in game development as well. Like
I agree. Yeah.
yeah. So
And making
like
TV about games too, by the way. Like our programs over the years have all been just out of love and joy and silliness and goofiness. I mean, we're talking about games, right?
yeah, I wanted to get the small scale feeling again. With even though in the Go Mecha team live far away from each other, we're at the Discord and having fun, talking every day. We haven't met yet, but I'm sure we would
Oh,
have
wow.
a great fun when we finally do. Uh, yeah, we didn't seem to find any pockets for it, and I'm quite a bit of a hermit as well, so I'm not like the
Yeah.
best force for that to happen, I guess. But yeah, let's not forget also that I started as a 2D artist but I've always viewed games development as one discipline. I feel like I've done that at least.
Mm.
It's always been weird for me to kind of divide it up into many different disciplines, and
Right.
I always had like too much ideas, constant explosion of ideas that I couldn't do anything about because I couldn't program. So
Yep.
I just got too frustrated one day and bought a course in C# and started to learn,
That's awesome.
uh, sitting behind the screen very late, trying to understand what a float was. Uh, it's a number.
I think
Uh,
Eugene knows.
um, and it kind of clicked to me, but which surprised me because I always viewed programming as some kind of art, like wizardry. Like I saw
It
these
is Wizard.
people,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, sit and write weird letters on a screen and stuff happened, and I just told them I can't do that. That's impossible. How could I
Yeah.
ever learn that? Uh, but yeah, it clicked more so than I thought, and now I haven't touched a pencil in or a vacuum pen in I don't know how many years. So that's
That,
been kind of weird going from being a 2D artist going from mainly programming. But yeah, I enjoy it very much. It's fun, great fun.
Eugene, do you see parallels in your history and your story and Jacob's story there?
I find Jacob, now his story is really, 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 fairly unique. Not, it's generally, people get, I think it's like left brain, right brain. I think
Yeah.
our right brain and programmers are left brain. And so it's very rare that, you get someone with a whole brain like Jacob,
Yeah.
and
I got a very big head. It might not go through the webcam, but it's unusually big.
Big head fam, unite.
but I think I love the small team thing. I love having less than 10 people working on a game, and it just I don't know, everybody is crucial. You know, you don't have,
Yeah.
there's no backup players, you know, there's no, uh, um, you know, second string people. It's everyone is totally crucial to the team.
And they
And
know that they are as well.
exactly. And they feel like they are really making a difference on the project. And I just love it. There's no net. There's no net,
Yeah.
you know, and and
And when
so
you feel that way, you also feel responsible. And when you feel
yeah,
responsible,
yeah,
there like a loyalty, I would
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
want to
yeah,
say, like a genuine. I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I definitely felt like when things started to scale up that even though I, of course, wanted the games that were made to succeed and become as good as human possible, I didn't feel that connection with the game I was doing. It was more detached in a way.
Mm.
I was
yeah,
I was working on the game. I wasn't making the game. Um, so
yeah,
yeah, I definitely agree that you want to be as close as possible to the game. That's at least how I feel like.
yeah.
Uh,
And I think you have a very unique gift in that you can uh, you're very intimately related to art and programming, and so that's because it's a synthesis of the two. It's you know, as you say, it's the interface between the two disciplines, and that's
yeah.
you're kind of you're right in the middle there. So that's you're very fortunate.
Eugene, I would say the same thing about you. I mean, you were realizing your vision and your dream, and you were using the tools that were available to you when you were building your first games and stuff. And I mean, you look at the artistry in Defender and Robotron and Smash TV and all. You know, I know Smash has started to get a little bit larger team and stuff, but there is this beautiful symmetry and simplicity that this stands across time. So, do you consider yourself more of a programmer, Eugene, or more of a an artist, or what do you think of yourself and when you try
These
to
days,
catalog
I'm
yourself?
just I'm like a spiritual guide.
I like that.
You know, after you know, I think at certain you reach a certain age, and your brain is just pretty much shot as far as like, and so you have to, you know, you kind of give that up. You're more of like the conductor of the orchestra or something, you know, and you're, you know, you feel, you're trying to direct things,
Right.
and so that's kind of where I am now, and it's sometimes frustrating because you just want to like give me the keyboard, man, I'll do this, you know, like I can fix this, you know, this problem with the sound or the, you know, this you know, animation, you know, just give me the keyboards, you know, like
Yeah.
and, but of course it would be a disaster.
But I also guess like with age, I'm not that old yet. I'm 36, but I definitely feel that like when I was younger, I would feel that completing the game was crucial, like a goal that is very important to achieve. But now I don't feel like I wouldn't break myself to complete a game, essentially. I wouldn't
Mm,
I would make sure that the toll of making a game wouldn't persist after we've completed it. It needs to be balanced. I guess understanding that if you're supposed to do this long term, you kind of need to focus on, okay, how are you feeling while you're sitting and making the game?
right.
Are you stressed? Are you balanced? Are you taking your walks? Are you training?
Yeah,
Making sure that the mental energy that you deplete during the day is recovered during a good night's sleep, essentially.
That's amazing.
Uh,
yeah, so
but
it's true, so true.
yeah, and I feel like that but on the downside, without the sense of this is really important, you might not give that full throttle and that last bit of energy to kind of make sure that, I guess there's a downside to feeling that this is not the most important thing in the world for the product's sake, but not for your personal perspective, that it's probably healthy. But for if you want to make sure that you're the one game that you're doing right now is the best game that you possible could deliver, you kind of need to sacrifice a little bit. And I'm not sure I am willing to do that. And I don't think I will be more willing to do it in 20 years.
Yeah, I remember back in the days of like Defender and Robotron and Smash TV. I mean, we would work 7 days a week, and I remember programmers in those days would be all excited, like I'm going to do an all-nighter. That was like the big thing, man. I'm going to do it all night. I'm going to do like, and the problem is you're just stealing time from the next day. You know? And because the next day you're not going to do anything, and really programming after like 2 or 3 a.m., whatever code you're writing is garbage. It's worthless. And so it's kind of a false dream that somehow you can work past your limits. And so it really doesn't work. And it actually makes you less productive.
I remember visiting studios in the early days of EP, and developers would show me the sleeping bags underneath their desks, and then beam horrible. With pride, basically talking about, when it comes to crunch, we all live here, basically. And now, if you watch Grounded, the new documentary on the making of The Last of Us Part 2, which is arguably one of the most photoreal, it's an amazing game, but they really learned the hard way that crunch is not good, and now they're like a non-crunch studio, but they're trying to build at that fidelity, which is going to be very, very difficult, and these games are so big, they take forever to make, and I think both of you, I came to your realizations individually that that's not the game that you want to make. You want to be, I feel like you guys want to put your thumbprints on them and get them out there.
Yeah, and I to some degree, I don't want to be in that kind of environment as well. It's kind of like making sure, like, I feel like I'm in a very nice period in my life now where I can kind of just direct myself towards the place where I work and have the most fun and feeling the most balanced. I'm not quite sure I achieved the balanced part with Go Mecha Ball, but I will
it's your first one.
Yeah. And I would lie if I said there was not any crunch on Go Mecha Ball. I really didn't want it to happen, but having publishers, having deadlines, etc., it's almost impossible not to have a few days of it. But my ambition was to not work so much. I failed a little bit, but
well, I think the obviously the game has to be a priority, and it helps to live in a area where it has a very long winter, and there's nothing to do but to make your game, because you're freezing, and so I think it's interesting how a lot of in the Baltic area, Finland and Sweden and other places, and Chicago certainly is a cold place also, and
all of Canada pretty much, which is where I am. Canada loves games, guys, and we have a lot of good developers
and hockey.
So there is no game development studio that has survived that was in Hawaii.
That's true.
Good point.
If you have a super balanced, happy life, you'll never do anything. So
that's my worry.
There has to be something wrong with you to sit in front of a screen for a good amount of your time and create arts. There's something unbalanced. That you have to maintain.
Yeah, well, I definitely feel that like a I am not a balanced person. Like I burn in both ends. I know that I need to kind of discipline myself to not work too much. I have the opposite problem. I need to apply discipline to not work,
Yeah.
which I do. Like I probably work maybe 6-7 hours per day, generally. After 8, I'm kind of okay. Now I'm making crime on myself.
Well, I can't let Eugene go without finding a little bit out about what's happening with Raw Thrills. Have you guys got some new machines that are coming out right now, or about to announce, or anything like that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, actually, yeah, we're just gonna get in production. Actually, I have the T-shirt right here. So,
Let's see it. What is it?
so anyway, we've been getting into some VR stuff recently,
Right?
and we came out with this uh, King Kong of Skull Island game, and so we just released a Godzilla game.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
if you can see that,
That's
Oh,
dope.
cool.
I don't know. There you go. Whatever.
That's
Very
awesome.
nice.
Um,
Menacing.
and but the VR thing. Obviously, it's a world away from the 2D top down games, but it certainly is it's very emotional. It's very um, immersing, and so it's kind of a different world there, but it seems to be really works well in like an arcade experience of a few minutes.
I
And
agree.
we're going to be releasing the Godzilla Kaiju Wars VR, making it in next month. So
Are you
hopefully,
Godzilla or what are you in that game? Are you kind of
no,
destroying the city?
no, you're someone trying to you know defeat Godzilla, which doesn't turn out
Impossible.
it doesn't turn out very well.
It's
But
hard.
It sounds like a game from the guy that made Robotron. Impossible. Did
trying
you
to
see
save.
Godzilla -1, you guys?
Oh yeah, that was
What a
it's a
movie.
terrific movie.
I haven't seen it,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Oh
yeah, I
my
saw
God, it's so
the
good.
yeah. I recently I'd been slow to see it, so I went down last week, and I saw the black and white version, which was
Oh, amazing.
and it's strange. And my kids, I took my teenagers there, and I thought, oh my God, it's like subtitles and it's black and white. They're going to be on their phones in like 10 minutes, they and they watched the whole movie. They thought it was the best movie ever. So I mean,
It's
that
an
was like,
amazing movie. Like
yeah,
it was like literally like in the
yeah,
top 3 of 2023. It is an
Oh,
incredible film.
yeah,
So
yeah,
congratulations on working on that property. Did you actually
yeah.
go to Japan for any of the negotiation or anything like that? Or
It was kind of like Jacob. I mean, we were all kind of remote, and it was really a pleasure to work with the Toho people.
yeah,
It's amazing. I think it's like the 50th anniversary, or I don't know, maybe more than that. I don't know, but
yeah,
it's like 70th or something
it's
of
amazing.
Godzilla, and 75th maybe. I don't know. It's a lot,
he's
and
Yeah,
I
getting
think
old, but he's still kicking ass.
more than
yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
But it is a great story, and it's really a human drama. And I think that's the beauty of the Godzilla -1 is they really like instead of they don't really, I mean Godzilla is often he's awesome and everything, but the story is really more about the humans than the
Yep,
monster,
yep.
Mm.
and I think that's where um, it's really beautiful, and it um, really hits your heart.
Mm.
Yeah, big time.
I
Well,
will watch
this
that
hits my
movie.
heart that we made this happen today. This is really freaking
Super
cool. Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I didn't
I
expect
loved
that.
playing Go Mecha Ball, and Jacob, really big congrats on getting your first game out there. It's a
Thank you.
wonderful game. If you haven't checked it out, you definitely need to do that. And the minute I was playing, I'm like, God, I really would love to connect Jacob and Eugene. This would be such a cool thing. So
Yeah, thank you for doing it.
you made a dream come true for me. And Jacob, if you haven't played Cruise and Blast, if you've got a Nintendo Switch, It is an
Blast.
amazing game. And it came out a couple of years ago, and Eugene brought a Cruisin', the Cruisin' USA racing games, but he brought out a super crazy fun racing experience to the Nintendo Switch. And everybody that I know in the game reviewing field was freaking out over it. I mean, it's so over the top and it's full on Eugene. It's like insane how arcadey and fun it is, but you should definitely download
check
that.
out.
And
I
I'll
love
send
the
you
racing
guys
games.
Yeah, and I'll
as
send
well.
you guys both of your emails because I feel like you guys should have at least a cursory conversation about maybe the arcade
Yeah.
opportunities around Go Mecha Ball. I think that would attract people.
Yeah,
Thank
no, Jakob, has created a new genre, and we'd love to see if we can bring it to the arcade. And amazing game, and congratulations to
Thank you.
This is a great, a great game that people will play for many years.
I hope so. Let's hope so.
Eugene, I
Thank
can't
you.
wait to come back out to Chicago, and the minute I know that that's happening, I'm going to reach out. I'd love to sit down with you in person. It's been way too long. You're a hero of mine, my friend. So, and especially for things like this. Thank you so much for being here. And Jakob, congratulations. Wonderful to meet you. Thank you all for watching and for listening. If you like this episode, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and review the episode if you're listening to this on a podcast platform. It really helps. Thanks, everybody. We will see you soon. And until then, play forever.